If you really love something, that you just can't just dedicate yourself to it, especially if you really, really love it and you're really passionate about it. My name's Jack, I'm part of the Existence.
What do you do with yourself, Jack?
What do I do with myself? Quite a bit, but at the moment I do love cranking out on the decks and mixing a bit, learning to produce, early down that road, but I think I want to get into a good place eventually. Yeah, just achieving a lot of things creatively. Well, it first started when I was just trying to learn a bit more about the artists themselves and their lives. And I just fell in love with what music was, just the whole culture of it. Like it's such a whole population moving thing where all moving parts are working simultaneously to create something great. And like if it's put together, it can just be something so beautiful. And I don't know, I just feel like I honed in on that and just tried to learn as much about it as I could. And over time I just ended up falling in love with it, because it's kind of impossible if you really love something that you just can't just dedicate yourself to it, especially if you really, really love it and you're really passionate about it.
What is your favourite part about performing and being on stage?
Just the energy about it, you know, like you get a different perspective, especially from like going from being one person in the crowd and seeing like what it's like to be up there, from putting yourself in their shoes, like hypothetically. You can look at that, and then when you're eventually up there, you start to realize all the factors that are at play, no matter what, when you're on stage, and the audience and how they can kind of shift your mindset about playing and what you're trying to play and your confidence, you know. And it's all about keeping yourself together. You know, if you're not composed in that situation, you're gonna like fall out of whack, and it's gonna be a tough situation, especially if you've got an audience that's not really fully engaged. But you know, they're still there, but it's not really about you. And a lot of the time when you're starting out, it's like that. And that's just the reality of DJing, you know what I mean? Just seeing the lifestyle, you know, I think it was just it was wholesome, you know, being able to go to events and just that vibe. You know, it's different from just going out, going to the clubs and just engaging in almost just like that partying, going out to just listen to the same old music. I feel like it's so good to hear new things and hear new sounds that you haven't heard before.
And
I feel like,
bring that to the table
yeah,
yourself.
and bring that to the table yourself. And being a DJ is like, you have that power now to experiment and go think outside the box with what you want to do and what you want to create. And just listening to other people's stuff and trying to venture out and find new avenues that haven't been touched in maybe your little area or something like that, you know what I mean? First started thinking about it when I met your mates, Seven Maddie, or else some known as Chunky, and I saw them up there and I was like, damn, they just loving their lives. And I'm like, hell yeah, that is amazing. And that's just something that I just feel like I needed, you know? And I just wanted to go down that path and really just conquer it, because I saw them grinding every single week, every single weekend, getting gigs, and it just kind of lit that spark in me, you know? Lit that spark, because seeing someone else going out there and doing it, it's like, damn, you know, I reckon I could do that too. So it's not like I'm trying to copy them or anything, I'm trying to do my own thing. So I feel like what I bring to the decks is different to what the next person brings to the decks. It's not better or worse, but it's just different. And that's what I feel like I strive for. I only really fell in love with music because I fell in love with Spotify. You know, that's like really it, how I got into it first of all. Like I would always download like the shitty MP3s of like Skrillex or whatnot, and you know, just like listen to them in class, yeah, Bangarang or like Cinema, and those tracks were always like something I resonated to, and I always liked like Martin Garrix and stuff, but I didn't really know the depths of house music, you know, and I started discovering it. Oh damn, like there's so many layers, and yeah, that's just what I love about it, you know.
Do you have some morals you live by, like?
Yeah, I actually do. You have to stay true to yourself. You have to stay true to who you are at all times, whether it's like with friends or with family, or just whether you're out by yourself just doing nothing and just with yourself. You know, you got to stay true to who you are. And I feel like just being kind to people, making sure that everyone's always accounted for, you know, no matter what, if it's a you know, night out, or if it's you're staying in with a few people, you just got to make sure that everyone's having the best time that they can, and that you're contributing to that, you know. And I just feel like that's what I live by, making sure just everything is sailing smoothly and positively affecting, my vibe is positively affecting everyone else's.
So with the existence, what does the existence do for you?
The podcast itself,
Yeah.
it's not just about me. I feel like it's more about just bringing the community of artists and people that don't really have a voice outside of their music and outside of their what they put out and what they create, bringing their voice to life, you know, like we haven't seen on the Gold Coast before in our sort of generation. And I feel like that's what we're missing at the moment, is having that platform for the young, up and coming, you know, generational entrepreneurs, artists, just to express themselves and show who they really are.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's so beautiful for that.
Pick anybody in the world. Who would you have on the podcast?
I feel like we're going down a very musical route. With the current, segments that we've got on, I would really like to see, Jamie Jones is a really good one. I think he's a very good producer, and he's just one of those interesting dudes that just is quiet, you know, and you kind of want to hear more from him, and you see him be like just ripping it on the decks and just having a great time. You just kind of want to hear more about him. And Fisher is a great one. I really do think Fisher would be so fun to get on. I think that's a bit big, but I would also, small scale, a bit more small, I would love to get Little Fred on. He is just a legend, and I feel like he's impacted the Gold Coast scene in terms of DJing like not many people have. Shout out Wongo, of course, but yeah, I feel like Fritter, he's moving waves right now.
What do you think your specialty is on this podcast? What do you bring to the table?
I feel like my specialty is to try and go a bit more introspective with the guest, you know, making sure the guest is expressing the most that they can about themselves, you know, trying to dig deep to the point where it's under the surface of what they would usually share with the audience, you know. And I think when you dig deep and try and find those little cracks and holes in someone, they can really express themselves in a way that they've never really done before. You know, they've never expressed themselves in a way that they're so vulnerable.
Holes with people.
I mean, yeah, that's one way to say it, but you know, I'm sure there's plenty of other ways to express that point. Just that like young, happy, uplifted vibe that just wants to hear about people. You know, I feel like I really am open to listening and wanting to hear the most about someone, no matter what. If it's just a random story, if it's a business plan that they've shared with a few people, maybe how they first started getting into something. I feel like you just want to have the body language and know that they know that you're taking it in and know that you're listening, and sometimes just conveying that in a way that's non-verbal is so important. Like just with the guest or just with anybody.
Where do you see yourself best case scenario in 5 years?
Best case scenario in 5 years, I think there's a lot of things that I really want to do in life, and when I'm 25 approximately, I would want to definitely have at least one property, fully paid off, one property fully paid off, no mortgage. Then that's just real estate. I want to be able to create a label, have tracks released, but it's like a specific house label. I want to make sure that I have an event, and those are two different things, two separate things.
It's the same world.
Yeah, same role, but two separate whole different entities, you know, completely separate from each other, but they're interchangeable, you know what I mean? I want to create music individual to, you know, the normal house genre, and a lot of things have been done before in the genre, but just creating it all and just putting it all together and being so diverse and just looking at all avenues and trying to take little bits and pieces from each of those and coming together and creating something great. And also just bringing other people that are going on a similar path, just making them feel the same sort of energy to what I felt going up. It's just keep going no matter what. You have the potential and the power to do it. You just need to think about yourself there, you know?
Yeah.
Once you picture yourself there,
You can bridge the gap.
yeah, you can make a bridge between who you are now and where you want to be, you know? So
Yeah.
I think it's all about building that bridge and making sure that the
You
bridge
actually
is
walk over it.
solid, you know, and solid foundation, and it remains until you eventually do get to that destination that you've really wanted to be at. And nothing's really set in stone. I have a lot of goals that I want to go down, and especially in music. I think music is something that's only growing. The world is growing, and so is music. And I feel like the music scene, even though it can be a bit cutthroat at times, just about finding your own niche and where you fit in. And I feel like that's what I'm going to continue to do moving forward into the next couple years, and then the next few years, I'll hopefully have found that position by then. So that's my goals for the next 5 years.
Do you have any other avenues of life that you walk down besides DJing and obviously the podcast?
Yeah, I love fighting, man. I love martial
Just like
arts.
street brawling.
I mean,
Find someone.
fuck
you.
I wouldn't say street brawling.
love
Street
this.
brawling, MMA specifically, like just anything mixed martial arts. I'm so into the world. I'm the opposite of what you would call a casual. The world of mixed martial arts is so just deep and just grueling, and it's so beautiful at the same time. And
It is an art form.
yeah, it's such an art form, and I've been training for a solid 4 years at this stage, and I love every bit of it. It's just amazing, and I could probably have pursued it a bit more and maybe tried to go and you know, create something great about a career there, but I just feel like I saw DJing and I saw a much safer route for my body and my health, and I was like, you know what, I feel like this is just better for me. So I still train, I still love it, but I just feel like I want to hone my DJ craft before I start getting out there and performing on a stage that can risk your, you know, well-being and health. I love it though, I love it to death, and anyone who trains MMA out there, I have so much respect for you, because I know how much passion and just dedication it takes to keep going.
What does the existence mean to you?
This is a good one. I love this question, and I forever, this will be an iconic question in all of our lives, I'm sure. To me, the existence means to be powerful. Just to be someone who you feel that you have power in your life, and also you can give power to others. You know what I mean? We are all powerful in our own right. We all have some sort of power. Whether it's used in a malicious way is up to the person. You know, so I feel like existence means using our power wisely and in a way that can affect the next person in a positive manner.